Delighted to be joined by director Gille Klabin and stars Clay Elliott and Cameron Fife. Hi guys, how you doing?
Hello,
Doing
mate.
well.
Thank you for
Thanks
having
for
us.
having us, Andy.
Thank you very much for your time and congratulations on the movie. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Um, I'll start with just kind of with yourself, Clay, and Gil is down as writers and co-writer for this. How did Weekend at the End of the World come about? What was the sort of nugget of that starting for you?
Well, I'd say how it started for us, Gil and I met each other pretty, I would say, fortuitously in Los Angeles in 2010, and we started shooting some comedy together, and you know, had limited success. Funny or Die, that sort of thing. And then we kind of lost track of each other over the years, and then COVID. You have a lot of time to sit and do nothing. So I thought about people like Gil and reached out, and all of a sudden, we kind of got back together, started shooting some sketches, and kind of got to a point for me personally where I was approaching 40, and was trying to decide, if is this the type of thing I want to stay in. This is a tough career, acting and whatnot, and I was kind of contemplating moving on to other things, and had a conversation with Gil, who said, basically not yet. Let's take one more kind of a bigger shot here. And so, yeah, we tried to started looking at ways to write a feature, and kind of here we are. But Gil, I'll let you expand on that if you have any other
Yeah,
thought.
it was so I just done my first film and you know it was out and I was sort of trying to get another film going and Clay and I worked really well together. I come from like strong visuals. He's just an incredible performer and we do these stylish weird comedies together. And I wanted us to do something that we could uh, pull off basically by ourselves without having to wait for permission or without having to wait for a massive check. So we wanted to make a story that was very small, leaned into our strengths, leaned into the genre market as well, because that's one of the only places where I feel like a little upstart can land. And we just try to utilize what we had, which is I'm a massive nerd who can do VFX and camera stuff, and Clay's an incredible performer who I think can carry a movie quite effortlessly. So we had Clay's from California. His parents have this little cabin 6 hours away from LA that's certainly haunted, from what I understand.
Scary. I love it there. It's really scary there. Love it.
Mm.
Scary.
So we tried to write this movie based in something basic things we had access to. We figured we'd write it over the weekends. We'd write it and we'd shoot over weekends and just do all the stuff by ourselves. And then we started sending the script around, and we decided to not rush because the script had a lot of heart and people were reacting really well to it. So we
Mm.
thought we'd pump the brakes and let's see how organically big this thing could get. Um, and so it kind of slowed us down, made us not rush. And then I had worked with Cameron years ago as an actor, and I saw he was producing as well, and he was a prolific producer. So I sent him the script and being like, "What do you think?" And he fell in love with the this is actually achievable for very little money aspect of it,
Mm.
and he wanted to act in it. And then I think the second Cameron joined our sort of idiot echo chamber that we had developed. This thing really became real, and Cameron just elevated up to what you see now, which is a film that doesn't look like it was shot over the weekend by one masochist.
In my scary family cabin.
Yeah, we didn't go up there in the end.
Thank God.
Yeah.
I miss it.
And Cameron, with you coming on board, what was your first thoughts, reading the script?
I read the script. I thought it was really funny. I thought it was fun. And uh, it, when Gil sent it to me, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty busy. I'll read it at some point. And it was
Mm.
kind of like on a list of like 10 scripts I had to read in various stages. And for whatever reason, the next day, I just was like, oh, I'll just start reading it. And I read it in one sitting and I was like, I love this. And so I called Gil and I was like, hey, so I read the script and I think it's great. And I'm down to help you produce it regardless. But also, what if I act in it as well? And Gil was like, "Oh yeah, maybe." And then we had some conversations, and I ended up getting the part.
Yep.
But yeah, it kind of I don't know. I feel like movies, like a lot of things in life, but specifically movies, like the path of least resistance is always the best. And when
Mm.
you read a script that's like hard to get through, or you're busy and you forget about it, and it's like that one's probably not meant to be, but this one just like felt meant to be because it was just in front of me and I was just compelled to read it, and it was so fun that I finished it, and yeah, it just all came together really kind of seamlessly.
And you play Miles, and Clay, you play Carol. Um, in the sort of development of the movie, filmed over 12 days, I think they said it was for over the period of time. Working together, how did you feel the relationship between Carol and Miles develop? Was there changes that you make on the fly, or did you go kind of pretty strict with the timings and everything?
Yeah, I think one of the things, like when Cameron came on board on this project, it was what ended up being, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, before we started shooting. And I had never met Cameron, and when we kind of got to the point where we needed to start rehearsing, I think a conscious decision that I know I made, and I think Cameron made as well, is we had set aside time, and the idea being is that we were going to go run lines, we're going to go that sort of thing. I think we both made the conscious decision to just kind of hang, just kind of get to know each other, just to find our banter kind of outside of it. Because I think this movie, what carries this movie is it's a buddy comedy, like so many that we've seen before. And whether it's Bill and Ted's to Dumb and Dumber, whatever, the chemistry between the two guys is what's going to carry this film. And you have to not only like think they're funny, of course, all those things, but you have to believe that they like each other, and in our case that they've been friends forever, so this is your lifelong buddy. So I think we put so much focus into just hanging and get to know each other during that time that it did pay off, I think, when filming, because I do think we had developed that kind of knowing each other's senses of humor, and so it made improv and that ability to leave the script easier and more natural, and then the ability to talk to each other off camera and being like, what if this, what if that. We just developed in a very quick amount of time, I think, a really true friendship that really I think made a big difference in filming.
Yeah, another like just crazy coincidence thing is that even though Clay and I met just a couple months before we started filming, we're from the same like he's from one town over from me. We're fans of the same teams. We both play a lot of sports in LA. We have a lot of mutual friends. We took the same classes at the same theaters. Like we had
Yeah.
so much in common, yet somehow had never crossed paths. So as we would like hang out and have these sessions, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, well no, I know this school. Yeah, I went to that party." Like, and we like
Yeah.
definitely. It is very possible that we were at the same parties and events for the last 25 years and just never,
Yeah.
never
Totally.
actually met. But so I think that was a big part of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Gil, being the director and having had Cameron and Clay, develop that relationship off screen, does that give you does that make it easier for you just in terms of
Oh yeah, I
working
mean
that way?
it's sort of like the as Clay touched on it, it's the central commodity of the believability. I mean, with all these things,
Mm,
particularly in this genre, when you're playing in the absurd, you're playing in lunacy, and you're still trying to ground the stakes, right? You still want everything to pack a punch. And if you didn't
mm,
believe that these two actually had a friendship, then it's all for naught. Particularly with like Miles is such a cartoonish, bombastic character. If you
mm,
don't believe that Carl has been friends with him for life, then you're just sitting there being like, well, fuck this guy. Like, why are they hanging out? There's nothing tying them together. There's no cohesion, no reality. So I
mm,
I remember the first time we were up in my office and they were both sitting on the couch, and I had no idea that they were from the same part of Northern California. And I,
mm,
I remember the scene perfectly sitting there as they both clocked that they're a town over from each other, and I was just sitting there being like, jackpot. Like this is so ideal. And these are both professional actors and they're both lovely guys. Like I'm sure they could have made a natural friendship, but the fact that there was an unexpected backstory that you would have had to really act your way around that just existed de facto was, I mean, that was such a bonus, such a miracle, and I think it shows on the screen. And we've had, the limited amount of people we've shown this movie to, it fills my heart to hear how many times people talk about the chemistry on screen between them, because it really was a friendship that I watched blossom in front of me, and it really was utterly, like, cosmically convenient. The fact that they were
mm.
just there's so much overlap, and it comes across on screen. You know, you really believe their friendship.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. That's I think it's what's definitely, sells. As you said, you've got the kind of otherworldliness and the spectacular and the violent and everything that's going. And if the relationship with Carol and Miles didn't work, then that stuff kind of would maybe fall apart. But
Yeah.
it doesn't. The fact that you've got that relationship and it does, they've got that bond. Everyone loves a drinking game, and the two of them certainly can find out bond through that. And aye, works perfect for it. Um, just in terms of the characters, Carol and Miles as well, throughout the years we've had in sort of horror comedies, or there's obviously elements of kind of sci-fi as well and cosmic stuff. There's the idea that the duo of friends, we've had Sean and Ed from Shaun of the Dead, we've had um, Tucker and Dale, different versions, different styles of friendship. This is really for all three of you. How do you hope the audience responds to Carol and Miles? We have spoke about the the emotion that you kind of convey in the movie. How do you hope that comes across for the people that are going to be watching?
Um, I would say that I hope that they feel all of the emotions that you feel with your like almost obligatory lifelong friend. Like I feel like there's so many of
Mm,
us who are lucky enough, to have that friend that you've had since kindergarten who's somewhere between annoying brother and friend, they live in that in between. And like I think I hope people take away is they feel all the emotions that come from that, the frustration, but also the genuine love and stuff there. I think that's one thing that sticks out for me.
mm,
For me, like, I'm always drawn to messy characters, like
mm,
imperfect characters, and I think, you know, but like Miles's arc, that there's so much myopic, selfish, idiot behavior that you could dismiss. You know, as we talked about, like lifelong obligatory friends, like I've got mates like that who, and it's not, you can't attribute malice to it when it's just like the short-sightedness of an excited Labrador. And I think there's something to me that's very beautiful and very important in life to understand the messiness of people. There isn't just the binary good and bad. There is the well-intentioned buffoon who can't think about one step ahead. And I feel like
mm,
we try not to sort of lambast audiences or to lecture anything in the movie, but if there's anything that the movie is about, it's really the sort of self-actualization or the self-awareness of the consequences of your actions. It's like, you can do a bad thing and not be a bad person, and you can do a bad thing and recover from that and take responsibility for it, and you can do bad by not doing anything at all. I hope people connect and forgive and condemn the characters and themselves in equal measures. Like, we're all idiots trying our best.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like the goal and like dream would be to have Carl and Miles, to see them in different scenarios and see spin-offs and sequels and TV shows and web series
Mm,
where it's like, oh, let's see them in high school. Let's see them, the 6 weeks before this when Carl was still happily with his girlfriend and Miles was doing whatever Miles was doing, and you know, uh, just exploring these characters and their points of view, and just knowing that they've probably gotten themselves into some crazy antics regardless of what portals they've opened or demons they've
aye.
summoned.
And
Regardless of
uh, uh,
demons.
we won't give spoilers away. Try to keep everything fairly spoiler free. But for those that are watching, there is a post credit sting. So I'm assuming that'll be shown at the cinema as well at the same time. But on the screener I had, there was. So stick around for that at the end. It's just
Please.
yeah, it's totally worth it. Um, when when you've got a movie where you're making and it's got elements of genre, so there is the comedy and there's the horror aspects to it. Um, Gil, how do you feel best to approach that, you know, when you've got the emotion that you're developing with the two characters, but you've also wanted to add in the bits of horror, the bits of comedy. How do you find best to approach that, and where to pull back and kind of push forward on one or more of those elements?
So I think it's a strange thing, right? Because when you're sort of merging these genres, right, when you're dancing between these two lines, you kind of have this benefit that um, one one can benefit from the other one, and one can offset the other one, right?
Mm.
If you're in a really tense, horrific moment, and there's a moment of levity, a moment of comedy, that line of comedy may not even be that funny, but in the situation that you're in, it's such a breath of relief from the tension that it's suddenly the absolute funniest thing possible.
Yeah.
And so it almost feels like a cheat. So for me, like the central sort of cohesive material that keeps it together is stakes, right? The scary is not scary unless it feels like it's substantial, unless we believe these characters are real and we care about them, right? I think really that's the most important thing is, and why their real life friendship was so beneficial is you have to care. There's so many movies I watch these days where the concept is really great, or the scares are great, or the physical comedy is great, but I don't give a toss about the people I'm watching. So
Mhm.
for me, I feel like the number one thing was heart, right? Have this movie have heart, and then the horror and the comedy both work together quite easily because you're anchored in. You give a toss about what's happening on screen,
Yeah.
and balancing the two. I do think it's like quite an organic thing, much like editing is, right? It's not like you're beat cutting. It's not like you're going, okay, every time the bass drum hits, I'm going to cut. With this, it's much more almost like you're breathing. You know, sometimes you want to. It's like I always refer to it as like yo-yoing your audience. You know, you go here, it's tense, and you're holding your breath, and this scary bit happens, and then you exhale for just a moment, and then boom, you're taking on another breath, and the
Mm.
pattern of breathing changes relative to the film. And for me, as somebody with very limited attention span, I need to have that pattern change. It can't be the same BPM throughout. So
Yeah.
in the movie, you know, like there are bits where we're stopping and it's just laughs and the stakes don't really go that high. And you know, and then suddenly when some spooky elements come in, I'm trying to make you hold your breath for a fairly long time and then give you a moment to exhale and then hold your breath again and then little moments. I'm kind of trying to change that breathing pattern throughout the movie so it feels like it has different movements.
Mm.
And you know, while yes, it is challenging to pull off a truly scary moment when, you know, like when Mima appears is tense and horrifying, but the guys are screaming in such a perfectly comedic fashion, like that is a difficult balancing act. But
Yeah.
you're kind of the pendulum is swinging so quickly between the two central genres that I feel like each one benefits the other. The fear is so much scarier because you thought you were in such a safe, silly place, and
Yeah.
then the comedy is so much funnier because you are tensing up your body watching something terrifying, and then you're cutting to something that's absolutely ridiculous, and it's such a relief. And it's you know, it's a ride, and I feel like that's my job to take you on a ride.
Yeah. And did you guys feel that as well, just as the shooting days were kind of developing?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think to Gil's point, and also like it's worth noting that with Gil, you feel so taken care of as an actor and even as a writer. I just think it's good hands because I know Gil considers like everything he just said to you. I was like, that's really said smartly. Like I come into set being like, when can I put in my fart noise? And he's like, just don't worry, just read the lines. I'm like, cool, man. Um, like I just think that Gil has that balance and has a great understanding of that. But he's right. I mean, I won't go too long because I think I'd echo so much of it, but it truly is. There's a reason that horror comedy is such a genre unto itself and such a known
Mm.
genre is because of that tension, the release of tension. And then I think it becomes a game and a thoughtfulness of how to utilize that and to not fall into predictable patterns and to use it with each other. But I think Gil has such a wonderful understanding of that through the writing process, but certainly in the editing and directing process. But yeah, I mean, it's super fun and it's super fun to make. It's a really
Mm.
neat set as well.
Yeah, obviously you got your fart noises in fairly early,
Oh yeah.
early
Yeah, I
doors.
got
The
I got them in there. They they
yeah,
weren't my best, but they're pretty good.
Yeah, but
Some of my favorites got cut out, and Gil and I didn't talk for a bit, but
Yeah,
we're good now. I
that
get
was
it.
tense. We try not to bring it up, but especially not in front of people, Clay.
I just had a wet one that didn't get used.
those are the best ones. Like,
I know. Thank you. Thank
There are
you,
plenty of wet
Andy.
farts in there, okay, man? Just
Thanks,
drop it.
Andy.
I think
God.
I think my favorite part of this whole process was I screened the movie. We kind of screened the movie for different friends and family and industry people to get notes from various points of view while we were editing. So I had a little
Mm.
screening in my place for a couple of friends, and one of my friends had a note where she was like, "Yeah, I didn't really understand the fart cops thing, and I don't know. I thought maybe it took away, but it's not really my humor. So I guess I don't know. But my note would be maybe look at the fart cops thing. And obviously, initially, I'm like, well, obviously, we're not going to cut that, but sure, maybe we can trim it or re-edit something if it's not really landing. So then I like said to Gil, like, yeah, we might want to like consider trimming this thing. And Gil was like, well, no, well, you can't trim that because then the audience won't understand that the fart cops are, something that is important to them. And then if we, because then if you trim it later, and we went into this like really intellectual conversation about fart cops, and I was just like, we're talking about fart cops. Like,
Yeah.
Like, I'm a 40-year-old man.
Yeah. But ultimately, Gil won. We pretty much kept all the fart. I mean, I don't think we cut any of it.
Oh, the beginning fart cops is definitely truncated and to the benefit of the movie.
Yeah.
But I just
Doing
love
it
those,
again.
it was like 40-year-old men talking about the validity of fart cops. In an academic fashion as well, like being like, right, but does it depreciate the joke later?
But
like,
should
yes,
it be
the
fart
cops.
policeman?
Are we doing a disservice to the great farters who have served our country?
Yeah, yeah. I've got a 7-year-old, as I said before, and it's just fart jokes are just they always still land for me just now. So
Yeah.
but
Well,
They're
that's our
always
target
funny.
demographic. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's they still hit well with her, and that's about 40% of her day taken up with fart jokes. So that's fine. Um,
It's good
you know,
numbers.
yeah. Well, she's at the age of everything bodily functions is just hilarious. So that's a different conversation. Um, so we've got the characters Carol and Miles, but you also have the supporting characters Troy and Belisario as Mimo, and the poor Hank Thomas Lennon who just gets put upon by yourself, Cameron, for a fair stretch of this. How was it? How was it working with the two of them? The Mimo character develops as the movie goes on. I don't want to go too deep, and things happen with Hank. And what were his world class eggs? Is there a recipe? Like I need to know.
Yeah. We actually did have all these theories about it. There was going to be a scene where you see him like with a knitting needle and a sewing needle, like pricking something into the eggs
It's like a
and
straight
adding them in.
syringe.
But the comedy, at least on the surface, was meant to be that he calls them Hank's famous eggs, but it's just boiled eggs. It's boiled eggs in a dish, and it's just the most like sad, lonely thing. It's like he wants to have a famous dish to share. It's fucking boiled eggs, man. But that's why we added the bit where when Carl's eating them, he's like, "Oh God, these are delicious!" Like they are delicious, and we don't get to know why. And it's one of those things which I think is really like a beautiful allegory of Hank, which is just like you just gotta let him in, man. Like, yeah, he's a bit cheesy, but you let him in. He's a sweetheart. He's great. He's value add.
Yeah.
But I will say, just as far as Tom Lennon is, I mean, I what a dream. I couldn't have imagined someone like that for that part. I mean, he fits it perfectly. And when we knew, I mean, again, talk about Cameron bringing Tom on. I mean, that guy is just everything that you want him to be, not just only in terms of just how insanely talented he is, just funny, professional, all of that stuff. But it's just like such a joy on set and supportive and stuff. And I grew up watching him in the state. I was like, he was a very big influence on me. And I just remember, shooting something with him where we improv'd him at the door. And I just like, as soon as we did a couple of takes, I just was like, Gil, can I get like 5? I just need to, get water or something. And just like going around the corner, because I need to like sit and be like, holy shit, like that was just like, I just like improved with Tom Lennon, dude. Like he was just so awesome. It's like I can't speak enough. Like I think people are going to love Hank, and he's just so pure in all the wrong ways, and just like he's adorable. But like Tom is, again, just to speak to how awesome he is, he just lived up to the hype.
Yeah.
It's also a testament, just to blow some smoke up Cameron's ass. It's a real testament to the value of being good. Like Tom Lennon joined this project 2 minutes. I still have the screen grab. Cameron sent him an email being like, because they'd worked together on a film. Cameron had directed him on something Cameron had written years ago. Cameron sent him an email, and it said sent 2 minutes ago, and then received 2 minutes later. Tom said, "I'm in." It's not because he read the script. It's not because he checked out our previous work. It's because he wanted to work with somebody who he knew to be a good person, and that is such a testament, not only to Cameron but also to Tom, to know the value of like working with good souls who clearly do this out of passion, certainly not for money. And so it's just great. And that vibe really permeated throughout the film. You know, everybody got paid the same on this movie. Everybody got a tiny piece of equity, and it was really pure and passionate and wonderful. And for somebody at Tom's level to be willing to play at that, like with us and Troyan as well, for both of them to be just such passionate, enthusiastic filmmakers, to be like, yeah, I'm in. Me and the PA are getting paid the same. Doesn't matter. Let's play. And they brought so much energy and so much. They just brought so much dynamic depth to these characters. And we tried, like we shot draft 16 of the script, right? This wasn't like a first draft, let's give it a go. We really thought this out. But the tiny idiosyncratic differences that both Thomas and Troyan brought to their characters took them from, dare I flatter us and say, like, funny, well-written, well-developed characters into just full people. I mean, I remember the first word that Troyan read at our table read, which is "Hello, my little Miles," when she's at the end of his bed, and I was bewildered because I was like, you've just said 4 words. They're not spooky. They're not lore. It's just a greeting, and I could feel gravity in that moment that she'd taken something so pedestrian and made it so real. It was just magical. They brought so much.
Yeah, Troyan, just to piggyback real quick, is Troyan grounded this movie in a way that was essential. I think this is a movie that the characters are kind of wild. Obviously, what happens in the movie is wild and can so easily become untethered. And I think like the grounding that she does, while also being hilarious when she needs to be hilarious, when being scary when she needs to be scary, whatever, she just is such a phenomenal actor. And again, her grounding this movie is what makes it work.
Yeah, and also at that same table read, that was the first time the 4 of us came together, Tom and Tryon and Clay and I, and the that draft of the script, Hank had a lot more dialogue, and in the movie he becomes a demon, but then he's not a demon anymore. Sorry for the spoilers if these are spoilers, but all throughout the scenes he is directing us, telling us what to do, telling us how things work, and after the reading, and there was some really great fun moments in there. And after the reading, one of Tom's main notes was, "I don't think Hank should have any dialogue. I think he should be a demon the whole time and just be grunting and tortured because he's stuck in this world." And I mean, that's got to be the first time in the history of the world that an actor has been like, "Give me less lines and less things to do," because but he saw the overall thing, and he's also a writer and a creator, obviously. So he was like, "I think this will behoove. I can remove myself a little bit, and it'll behoove the project overall." And yeah, it did. I mean, he was right. It added so much for Hank to be this, pathetic mute,
He said
tortured creature.
it so well. He said, "I think it would be more fun for me as an actor if I'm not fully back to my old self." And Clay and I immediate thought was like, more fun for you. That means you're more into it. Yeah, whatever you want, buddy. So we
Yeah.
immediately went and got rid of all his lines, made sure like it was a grunt that alluded to that piece of information and that Carl or Miles, deciphered what it was. And we're like, if this guy is having a better time, he's going to be more in, and you need people to be in when you're doing, a tiny little movie like this. And he was right. It made everything more novel. It's, and that's the problem with these. The whole name of the game for us with this film was give people enough generic conventions that they kind of feel like they know what's going on, and then subvert their expectations, give them something they haven't seen before. Like we have the portals and we have interdimensionalities, but like hopefully it's not something that felt too familiar. When you're going into the allness, I don't think you've seen that before. I don't think you've seen Acquittal, or you've seen quite the weird transformative, or even the visual aesthetic we went for. We like painstakingly worked to make sure that everything felt familiar and new at the same time. And Tom really helped with that note particularly.
Yeah. And it's the first introduction you get to Hank. It was just this. I think what sets up well for the kind of journey they're going to go on is Carol and Miles are still having a conversation, but you can just hear faintly in the background that Hank's still kind of shouting over and talking to them, and it keeps going and keeps going just until they go into the house, and then it's just that Hank's just been kind of left out there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
With a smile on his face, though.
Yeah.
yeah,
He's fine.
and it's great, as you said, to have Tom on this, and I don't know, he's a an actor I've always, you see his face, you go, I remember him. Do you know what it was from? It's one that's always stuck with me. Is he's only in it for a short period of time, or shorter anyway, as in I Love You Man.
Yeah, so good in that.
Him
He's so good.
showing up in I Love You Man is just like scene stealing at times, so it's great. And as you said, the experience of working in that, and aye, it's brilliant seeing him.
Yeah,
there was one take, not to.
Sorry, go.
I was gonna say there was one take where Carl and Hank are sitting on the couch and they're having that whole thing, when they're trying to chat and get to know each other, and we were doing a take, and then I had to take Clay aside, and I was like, remember, he's a demon and you're scared, because Clay and Tom were having so much fun riffing this, like a dialogue scene with somebody who's expressing himself in deathly screams, and there was just so much joy. And I was seeing my friend Clay, like have a good time, and I was like, all right, he can have this take, but once you're done living out this surreal moment of like sharing the screen with a comedy hero of yours, let's get back to the story. He's a demon, you're terrified, calm down.
Yeah, I mean, again, back just how surreal it was. But again, yeah, Thomas Lennon has forgotten more about acting and writing screenplays than I know. So just just such an invaluable resource. The guy was awesome. Very cool.
Yeah. And speaking of Troyan with the Mimo character, right from the off, that's a very physical performance. Like, there's a lot of is it contortion? Is that the right word? It feels like
yeah, there's a fair amount of contortion.
Yeah. I would say she contorts.
Yeah. Again, trying not to go too spoiler, but she, as you said, brings a level of groundedness surrounded by the chaos, and all four elements, all four characters work so well together. I think that's to the movie's benefit, obviously.
Thank you for saying that. Really, really bizarre with Troya, and we had planned to, because you see her in two different ages, and we had planned to dub her with an older actress for when she's playing older Mima, and we didn't, because she, not only physically but vocally, she delivered the kind of vocal fry of an old person. We didn't have to do anything. Like it was mental, and it was, it's just so funny. We would keep having these moments realizing that the powerful, insane high level of acting she was bringing to the scenes, and then you would stop and think about what else is happening in that scene with her, and it's just so ridiculous. Like, to shed a tear in a scene that has the line, those spiders fucked you for nothing, is like, it's such a crazy juxtaposition and a testament to somebody's acting. Like, how did you how, like, I'm struggling not to laugh, and you are shedding an earnest tear. I truly believe you're suffering, and that line was just uttered moments ago. I
Yeah.
mean, kudos.
And it's just, yeah, works very well. And you've got the development of the relationship, Cameron, sorry, of Miles and his Mimo. Is that like a grandparent?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Is that kind
It's
of,
a
yeah,
southern
but
term for a nan, yeah.
right, okay. Um, and you've got that development of the relationship between those two as well, which is probably you, the it's kind of been like an off-screen loss, but that is then developed into almost like Miles is feeling the need to try and prove himself to her. Don't know if you'd agree with that.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I hold Miles holds her in the ultimate regard. I mean, she, lived this horrible life and survived and was able to overcome and do all these great things. And so, and of course, I, well, I don't want to give away spoilers, I guess, but,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, I, yeah, all I want to, to me, she is the perfect person. She's done everything. And so all Miles wants is to live up to, her, level. And so, even the selfish things that Miles wants for himself, he wants them to show Mima that he is worthy and that he is smart and he is cool. All the things that he doesn't think he is,
Yeah.
on a day to day basis. So like, yeah, that, uh, and honestly, like pulling out and on a wider scale, like Troyan is someone who has had this great career and is also just an incredible person. I mean, getting to know her, she is like so kind and sweet and warm and has this like beautiful, loving family. And she does all this charity work. And she's just like, she is someone who everybody like aspires to be. And so that kind of matched. And that was really easy as an actor to be like, yeah, just to be in awe of her the whole time. And, obviously the character probably wasn't as deserving of the awe that the real Troyan is, but nonetheless, yeah, it made it easy to just want to please her.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. And so just kind of to the wrap up slightly, the reason why we're here tonight is because Weekend at the End of the World is shown at the time of recording this Thursday at 8:50. So, um, are you all making it over for it? I think Clay, you say you already in Manchester, but all
I'm
making it
all
over.
right. Well, I'm in Edinburgh right now, but yeah, I think
Oh, right.
we'll all be there. We'll be there, do a little Q&A action. We're gonna be in there. Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Gil and I fly out from California tomorrow, and we'll be in London on Wednesday and Manchester on Thursday.
it's a long trip. So
Oh
that
yeah.
jet lag was going to hit, and the
Oh, it's gonna
weather
be
as
rough.
well.
Yeah,
Well, luckily
Anyway,
our film's ridiculous, so if we're a bit loopy, it's on brand.
that
yeah,
works well. Yeah. Um, just having that experience then of you getting to watch it. I think these types of movies in particular always hold up. Always, it's getting an audience response, isn't it? I think for me, it was great getting the screener, but I'd like to have seen it and with a group of other people because you, you bounce off people even if you're not there with anyone. You just stay yourself, but there's a group watching it together. It just adds to the experience. I think is that he's all looking forward to kind of sharing that experience.
Yeah, very much. I mean, we our Northern Light when we were first conceiving the idea was a crowd pleasing midnight screening at a genre festival. That
Mm,
was that was the MO. It's got to be, like I love genre festivals. My first film premiered at them, and I sort of introed into the world, and you see so much crazy, experimental, audacious filmmaking, and then sometimes you just want a little, something that still feels in that world, but is an indulgent relief. But you still have to surprise. Like that's a big thing. We didn't want to make anything predictable, but yeah,
mm,
this is, this little tour of festivals we're going on now this is exactly what the aim was. So, and it's just great that Grimfest is the first one because it's a very important one in that circuit, and it's our first time showing our film to the world.
mm.
And it's also very curious. Like I grew up in England for 15 years, so it's weird for me to come back and bring this film to an English audience. And it's strange, I guess, to find out how much of sort of British comedic sensibilities have permeated into my subconscious enough. Like, is this going to be funny in the UK as well as it could be received in the US? And I think it's internationally or interdimensionally silly enough to appeal to all audiences. But really, really excited to find out, just to feel, strangers. Because when you show a cast and crew screening, you're like, yeah, all these people worry that my psyche will collapse if I hear the truth. But, if you're showing it to strangers, they don't owe you anything. You can really find out how people feel.
And that's the point, right? Like, I think that the whole point of this thing was to make a movie for people to see. And this has been a long journey from day one when we decided we were going to try to do something like this. It was probably 4.5 years ago, something like that. And so to be at the end of this journey and to kind of just now do it, put it out there and see people enjoy it. And then that kind of, move on to the next thing. But it's been a long time coming for this, and just excited to, for people to like it or not or whatever. But I think it's going to be fun. I think I'm excited for people to see it. I think it's a fun ride.
Yeah, I mean, Gille said it, but like, we did a few small screenings for close friends and family, and then we had a cast and crew screening where it was mostly cast and crew, but then also about half the audience was just other friends and family that we invited, and it was all for the most part positive feedback, other than a handful of notes here and there. But yeah, hearing experiencing it with an audience of people that don't know us, don't know the movie, are from another country. There's a lot of variables, and it'll be very fun and very interesting to see the reactions and what jokes land and what don't, what people respond to, what they don't. And also, Grimfest is the first one. It's our world premiere, but we have, I think we have 7 or 8 festivals lined up in the next 2 months, and then we're still getting in notifications about other ones. So like, the different cities, the different types of festivals, some are genre festivals, some are just regular festivals. And it's going to be fun and exciting to see it all, a new experience for sure.
Perfect. So again, thank you for your time today, tonight for me. Just a reminder, it's shown Thursday the 9th of October at 8:50, weekend at the end of the world. Cameron and Gille, safe travels, and Clay, enjoy Edinburgh.
Thank you
so much for having us, man.
And anyone listening out there, if you want to hear the fart noises that got deleted, I'm going to put out Gille's email. I just want you to reach out. We can do this, you guys.
Just
we stick together. Power in numbers.
Yeah. Just we're starting a campaign. Just hashtag the fart cut.
Put that in the subject, though.
Yeah, make sure that's in the subject line. That way we can organize.
That's
no one's gonna watch a 4-hour movie, guys. Nobody wants this.
We'll find that out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Andy. Really, really
thanks, Andy.
That's good.